What up, Unstoppables? We have a great episode today, but real quick, we want to invite you to make the most important investment of your life. It's not a secret. There's no like smoke and mirrors. I'm not even trying to like pull a fast one on you. I'm going to be pretty straightforward. The best investment you can make in your life is in yourself. And the best way to invest in yourself is by investing in your network, putting time and energy, surrounding yourself with the best. You are the average of those you surround yourself with. In that Restaurant Unstoppable network, I've made it easy. Over the past 12 years and 1,200 plus episodes, I've been researching and talking to people and trying to figure out how do you become successful in the restaurant industry. And I've curated a network of tools, services, technologies, and individuals, experts that I would go to tomorrow if I'm opening a restaurant. And I'm bringing you to that network with live events, whether it be a workshop, a mentoring session, a power hour, or access to me twice a month where I just listen and steer you in the right direction, all happening at Restaurant Unstoppable Network. Head over to restaurantunstoppable.com/live. You also get this amazing access to all the recordings, RU Network podcast, which includes bonus ad-free and early release content. It also gives you access to our Unstoppable bot. It is a custom AI agent that is fed with 1,200 plus transcripts, over 2,400 hours of transcripts plus bonus content, all cross-referenced with our database. This is a powerful AI tool that you also get access to as well. What are you waiting for? Head over to restaurantunstoppable.com/live and we'll see you there. This episode made possible by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guests, VP of Marketing at Marqii and CEO and founder of Reputation Arm, Kelsey Verdier and Claudia Tomina. My ladies, Kelsey and Claudia, are you feeling unstoppable today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And we have a co-host and co-producer today. She's no stranger. She's been a repeat guest on the show. She is the owner of Sweet Treats, as well as an independent fractional CMO, Anna Tauzin. Anna, are you feeling unstoppable today?
I am always feeling unstoppable, Eric,
yeah,
especially when we get to hang out and talk about stuff.
We're here today because the world of marketing is getting crazy. Anna is the person I go to when I have questions about technology companies that reach out to me, and I'm like, hey, Anna, have you ever heard of this company? Should I look into it? Should I be interested in what's going on? And it's just growing and growing. The world of marketing is getting so complex, so technically inclined. I am going to default to people who I would go to if I was opening a restaurant tomorrow for advice. And that is absolutely you, Anna. Your network of marketers and who you know, and just having your finger on the pulse. We go further together. So I came to you. I said, Anna, let's co-host, let's collaborate. Around the same time I came to you, I was talking to Marqii about doing a workshop on whatever they wanted to talk about, what they thought was relevant. They said we should talk about AI and SEO. At the same time, Anna pitched me the same topic, and she had somebody in mind. I'm like, this is amazing. The universe is colliding. This is meant to be, so we're making it happen. Anna, why don't you tell us more about AI and SEO and why you think we should have a conversation about this?
Thank you, Eric. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Tauzin Neve. I'm trying to transition into the new last name. It's very difficult. Whatever. Changing your last name is really challenging. Talk about a marketing issue. Like when you're changing your own personal brand, like it's very challenging. And it's taken me a little while. We've been married for years now, but I'm still just like, I don't know. Okay.
Ashley is the man too. I should be better about that last.
He is wonderful. I know he's going to hang out with you in Las Vegas this week because he works for US Foods, and he's going to be out at the Food Fanatics event in Vegas, which should be really fun. Happy late birthday, by the way, Eric. I was so sad I wasn't able to join you, but I was hanging out with one of our really good friends, Tommy, which is super fun. What is that? Did you steal that?
The 40th birthday present from Chris Earl Hanley, the pineapple in the background, the neon.
Isn't that awesome? So awesome. I thought it was a man riding a fish.
But it could be whatever you want it to be.
But I am super excited to tackle this topic. And truthfully, in my mind, I really wanted a way to sort of bring Marqii together, but also Claudia. Claudia and I met at a Google conference earlier this year. And anytime she said anything, I paid very close attention because she just knows the world of Google and SEO for restaurants and small businesses super, super well. So I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. So I also sit on the board for Marqii. I love them. I think what they do is great. I am also very critical of them behind the scenes sometimes, but I think they can handle it. They can handle it.
Makes us better, Anna, and that's what we need.
We go further together.
Sure.
I know. And so when Eric approached me about wanting to do different marketing workshops, I was like, this is fantastic because as a CMO, fractional CMO, I have a lot of questions all the time about as things are changing, right? Because when we talk about traditional SEO, search engine optimization, for everyone who doesn't know, we mean the process by like making our websites and all of our platforms online rank higher on Google using the right keywords, links, and technical setup. So the goal has always been to like get your restaurant to the top, right? I want to be able to find it immediately. And that's been great. And we've had to train ourselves as searchers to know like what keywords we want to use to search to find the right things. And then it's a little bit of a puzzle trying to pull information here and pull information there to find something like best tacos in Austin. I happen to be in Austin, Texas. But AI search optimization, as we know, works a little bit differently. It's built on the conversation. So tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity don't just send you a list of links and then you have to figure it out. They actually scan reviews, scan menus, photos, and other online content, and then summarize the best options in a language that it feels very conversational for people. So in many ways, it is the evolution of SEO, right, is to go into AI search optimization. So in other words, instead of asking, can guests find my website? The question then becomes, how will AI describe my restaurant or whatever to potential guests? And that shift really matters, right? If the menu is outdated online, if the reviews are inconsistent, or if your photos don't really show what you're really offering, AI might leave you out of the conversation altogether. And now I am fractional CMO for a couple different operations around the country right now. And we actually played around with this when I was visiting with them last week. And sadly, they were not discovered by AI. So we were just using ChatGPT to like say, hey, I'm not even going to give the example of which restaurant it was because we're working on it. But they didn't show up. I said, give me the top 10 blank in this city. And they didn't show up in the top 10, even though arguably they are one of the best in the city. So I think that's why this is such an important moment for marketers, is to really take a pause, take a look at like, what does our SEO look like? What is that going to do for the future of discoverability? How is this going to increase my orders of my restaurant? That information is really important. So that's why I wanted to invite these two ladies to be part of this conversation. They definitely know how it works, what it looks like. Kelsey represents Marqii, which is a holistic platform connecting menus and listings and reviews. So restaurants look good everywhere. Guests are searching. And then Claudia understands reputation management from all aspects, ensuring what shows up online is accurate and favorable. So, ladies, if I'm a restaurant owner, I'm going to start with Claudia. If I'm a restaurant owner, what is the biggest change I need to understand about how people will find me in an AI first search world? Claudia.
So I don't know if it's a big change, but I would say there's going to definitely be a bigger emphasis on reviews than ever before, because most of the time when AI is surfacing your business, they're looking at the reviews, but maybe the biggest shift would be not just Google. We got to think about Yelp. We got to think about TripAdvisor. We got to think about diversifying our reviews. So it's really review diversity, especially with other AI platforms. For example, Perplexity always favors Yelp. So if your presence on Yelp, a lot of businesses hate Yelp because they're like, oh, people only leave me negative reviews there. So then now we have to focus and like ask customers, not through email and text because Yelp doesn't allow for it, but maybe encourage the employees to ask for some Yelp reviews when they're, servicing customers in-house and trying to get those ratings back up. And we want to always have review recency. That's so important. It's not just the total number of reviews, it's how recent the reviews are.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's like a million more things to look about. And yeah, I think Yelp is like the champion of negative reviews, right? Like they're really good at that. So Kelsey, from you, like what would you change or do differently or emphasize more as a restaurant owner to help people find you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to think about with AI searches is it's not entirely separate from traditional SEO. And a lot of it's based on what is changing about consumer behavior and how we look for the places that we want to eat. And so we're moving away from keyword-based searches or thinking about things in keywords, and we have to start thinking about it in the form of answering questions for the people searching. Nobody's typing in, pizza restaurant Amsterdam. They're typing in, what's the best pizza restaurant in Amsterdam with canal seating and gluten-free crust? And so thinking about that, what are the most frequently asked questions about your restaurant? Think about your guests. Think about the keywords that you're being placed for on Google's traditional SEO search, and then think about how can you answer those questions in as many places as possible. So on your Yelp profile, in your Google profile, on your website, on partner pages, on any listing site you can get on, the consistency across the internet to answer those questions is going to increase the chances that an AI bot is going to find, hey, there's a consistent answer to this question featuring this restaurant. And then I think the second layer of that is it's about discovery. It's also about making sure that your guests can find accurate answers about your restaurant. So if I'm looking for, does Sweet Treats offer gluten-free cake? I want that answer to reliably show up. And if I'm the owner of Sweet Treats, I want it to be from my website, not from a different place. So making sure that you have those answers to those questions in a way that the AI bots can find and surface.
That's great. So putting it into conversational language based on how people actually ask questions. That makes sense. Yes, we do offer gluten-free cake and vegan cake, for the record. So, I mean, if it's not, Claudia, you emphasize that it's really not that different from how SEO has been treated before. Is there any difference in how AI tools read content differently than Google?
So, I mean, we never know how these models are getting trained. And I do feel like that's different. Every search query is a little bit different, how the way they fan out. So I always encourage, we need to make sure that we're delivering the right message across the board and diversifying. So whether that's the Google Q&A section, and then also our website and chunking it and making sure yes, we do offer gluten-free pizza, and then making sure we have the attributes on Yelp, on TripAdvisor, on Grubhub, on DoorDash that we offer gluten-free. So it's literally optimizing across the web, across multiple sources, because we don't know where AI is going. They're going to find the answer. As soon as they find that answer in the fastest way possible, they're going to surface that. So whether that's looking at Yelp, TripAdvisor, or Google, we don't really know. So we have to make sure that our brand is built consistent everywhere.
When you say attributes, sorry to interrupt. When you say attributes, what specifically do you mean?
So if you own your TripAdvisor page or your Google page, you can go in and you can optimize it, and they'll give you options to select from. So you can select halal, that you offer halal, that you are gluten-free, that you offer a vegetarian, option. So they're just check boxes. And so making sure that you're fully optimized across the web on all platforms. I think most, back maybe 5 years ago, everybody was just focused on Google. I only care about ranking on Google. 90% of searches are done on Google. But now we realize that not only Google, but even all these other AI platforms, they're looking everywhere. They're looking at your brand across the web. So we need to rethink the way we're optimized across the web, across all citations.
Well, isn't it handy to have a platform like one of y'all's where all of that information goes into one spot and it can across the web? How handy is that, right? I think that especially now, it would make sense for restaurants to use a platform like Marqii. And Claudia, does Reputation Arm do something similarly?
We do. We syndicate out to 50 different directories. So Apple Maps, Bing, Foursquare, but a lot of the directories don't actually sync. You have to do manual work. So we do help our clients with manual updates and manual optimizations.
So Claudia, you mentioned that reviews are most important right now, probably, and that's really important for AI search and for general SEO right now. But what about menu formatting and photos? Can you talk a little bit about that? And then Kelsey, same question.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, menus and photos are extremely important within Google Maps and within Google Search. And at the end of the day, not everybody's going into AI to find something. A lot of times when you're in AI mode, you're getting redirected into Google Maps, So you
Yeah.
might start searching anyways. And if you're going to surface there, like we're not all AI yet. So like we can't neglect, Google Maps and the way we're showing up there. And the best way to show up and actually to end up like on Yelp's top 10 list is making sure we're constantly adding photos so Yelp and all these other platforms can see what we're offering. And then the menu is just huge. I mean, I've done a case study where I had a client that wasn't ranking for a keyword, and I couldn't figure out why, because they were known for tableside Caesar salads. And they had like 42 reviews that mentioned the keyword Caesar salad, but didn't really rank well for it. And I found out that the menu name wasn't aligned with the keyword. And because of that, they didn't rank. And as soon as I changed the menu item name to Caesar salad, they immediately started ranking. So I always educate my clients, like, make sure your menu is not too fancy. Like, make sure that the menu had like the items are going to be specific to what somebody's actually going to search. So when you start to go a little fancy, you're not going to surface.
Right. So instead of like Eric's Pizza, like as a menu item, you need to have like sausage and mushroom pizza. Actually, Eric would order calzone. He wouldn't order a pizza, but
yeah.
I was going to say, does she know me at all? But
I know. I was like, wait a minute, he doesn't order that. Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And that's a really good example. So Kelsey, what about you? Any, real world examples from menu or photo that you might be able to share?
Yeah, I'd like to go deeper into the menu point, because I think you made a really great point, Claudia, also about having it not just within Google, also Yelp, also the website. And when we talk about hierarchies and schema, one of the things that I'm learning as we learn more about AI search every day, I feel like I read a different article, and some of them are saying traditional SEO is dead, and then the next is saying AI is already over. So, we're learning every day. It's that hierarchy and the AI bots being able to know what's the headline, then what's the next category down. When you think about a menu, your headline is the menu. And then the next hierarchy in that is the menu section. And then the next hierarchy below that is the menu item. And then the next one below that is the menu item attributes. So your business doesn't just have attributes that need to place in AI search. So do your menu items. So if someone is searching for gluten-free, having that consistently across your menus on Yelp in a way that's very clearly laid out within the Yelp hierarchy. And a lot of these sites and the listing platforms do a great job of telling you where they want that information so that it appears correctly in search results. Same thing on Google. They've created a really amazing menu system within Google Business Profiles for restaurants that allow you to add menu item attributes like spice levels and gluten-free. And then having that match on your website, not in a PDF that you upload every time you make a change, but actually coded within your website in the schema that nobody sees when they're looking with their eyes, but the AI searchers, the LLMs crawling the back, it's in a coding language that they can read. And if you do all of that consistently across, you will be placed for more of those items. We have a client, Taco Deli, that's an example. We recently launched a product, Host, that creates those location-based website pages for restaurants. So all the hours, all the menus, everything is in schema markup, made for accessibility, SEO, and AI search. And literally overnight, usually with SEO, it takes like a month to really, it takes a dip when you make a change and then it comes back up. We relaunched their location pages, and within a week, their organic search traffic had doubled toward those pages. So having the menu, the menu consistency matching all the other places and all of their listings was really huge for that search performance.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Good for Taco Deli also. Shout out to the Danya sauce, by the way. That is an Austin brand as well. It just happens to be, so I know how good that.
If I know like Taco Deli was going to be mentioned in today's episode, I would have repped the Taco Deli t-shirt. This episode is made possible by Restaurant Systems Pro. And at Restaurant Unstoppable, we are huge fans of Restaurant Systems Pro. So much that we are partnering with Restaurant Systems Pro, and they are going live every other week, twice a month, they are going live in Restaurant Unstoppable Network. Fred Langley, the CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, we will have access to him and he will go through your P&L. You do not have to be a Restaurant Systems Pro client to take advantage of this. He will literally tear apart your P&L and he will help you find the gaps so you can increase your profit by 5% or more. He is literally saving people's restaurants in Restaurant Unstoppable Network. If you want to take advantage of not just Restaurant Systems Pro, their budgeting, their costing, their inventory, their labor management, their training, their general ledger, all tied to your POS, this amount of data is insanely ridiculous. Beyond that, he's making himself available to coach you. This is all happening at restaurantunstoppable.com/live. We'll see you there.
Go change.
You gotta give me a heads up.
So what about images, right? So photos. I'd love for you both to talk a little bit about that. Like, we know that we should have been and hopefully are adding alt tags and alt text to our photos as we upload those to our websites and to Google and all of that. But maybe now's the time that we really get serious about it. Kelsey, what do you think about images?
I think what Google tells me is important. And they also, I know we're talking about AI, and there's a lot of crossover here. Google has their Google Gemini AI search. They're using AI within Google business profiles and Google Maps and search results to surface things at a micro level that are relevant. And they tell us that 32% of people are more likely to click on a menu if there are photos in it. They are more likely to engage if they see visually what they're craving and what they're looking for, if they don't have to read. What I infer from this is if Google tells us that something is important and that consumers are using it, and they give us the tools to make those things available easily, it's probably important to them for what they're surfacing in search, both for Gemini and traditional search. And again, Claudia's right. Google isn't the only platform that matters. You have to have all those things matching so that they can be verified across the entire internet. But we know that they're super, super important. And Google is saying when they're using AI to organize the search results, they're prioritizing menus that have photos and verifiable photos that are clearly not AI generated, but real delicious looking pictures of the menu.
Claudia, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I mean, there's so much to photos, right? They help convert. They help you get surfaced in search results when Google knows that they can match a search query with a photo. But like recently, I found that they're using these photos for like AI searches. So live music, jazz, acoustics. I'm noticing like we don't have categories specifically for these. And so how is Google servicing these? They're making these assumptions from the photos and dropping you into those relevant search categories. So I'm telling all my clients like, hey, we have live entertainment. Yes, we have, we might have the category to match for that. And we may have a review that mentions the live entertainment, but we definitely need to make sure that we're backing that up with the photos. And we're more likely to be showing up in those like AI searches, even within Google Maps. You'll see like people always ask other sections. So photos for just even just showing the vibe is going to be so important. So if somebody's asking AI a question about like, I want to go somewhere fun, and so they're going to assume that you want live entertainment, and they're going to surface businesses that have those photos. So they're really huge. Like if you're not adding photos and capturing the moment, you could be missing out on potential search queries.
I have a quick question
to that.
Oh, wait, go for it. You please first, Kelsey.
I would say like, I think that AI search performance is better when you don't make it guess. So even though it's more work, still adding the metadata into those photos. If you're showing a picture of the live music stage, put in live music, photo of live music. It's both helpful for accessibility and helpful for getting those things surfaced because it's easier to find what it is instead of the guessing. So
you can't have enough data touch points, basically, is what I'm hearing from you. But so you all are a bunch of nerds, and I'm over here like, wait, so do these like where am I putting these photos? Like, are these photos like actually on my website? Or is it like encouraging guests or me going in there on a Friday night and snapping photos and tagging those photos on Google, like I don't know, like my account, like managing my account, like, or we're just putting these photos anywhere we can think of. Like where am I putting these photos?
It's a great question.
Yeah,
I mean, I would say for sure you're going to want to add it to Google. You're going to want to add it to your Google business profile. You're going to hope that your customers, because I think it's very powerful when the customers leave a review and add photos and then mention it in the keywords that they love the live entertainment. That's like a total win there. But then you want to make sure that you're also don't forget the other platforms like Yelp and TripAdvisor. Like, make sure that you're updating everywhere, because we don't know, like I mentioned earlier, which sites are being referenced. Like Perplexity doesn't always favor Google. They're going to favor Yelp. And so if you have it on your Yelp platform in the age of AI, you really need to diversify your brand beyond just posting on social media and posting on Google.
I think also having the photos attached to your menu items, going back to those menus, it's also really key. So having it, the answer to your question, unfortunately, Eric, is yes. Put them all in all the places on your website, on your Yelp profile, on your Google business profile, on TripAdvisor, on Foursquare. Nobody's searching for you on Foursquare, but you know that that prevalence is really, really important. So having them in all the places and having them be consistent.
One more follow-up question.
Helps.
One more follow-up question. I'll let you get back at it, Anna. You're doing great, by the way.
Fine.
I knew you would be. So if I say use like Toast, for example, and part of like the standard operating procedure for Toast is to host your menu and include all the photos, do I need to do more beyond that?
It depends on what tech tools are in your arsenal. If you have Toast, period, the end, yes, you definitely have to do more than that manually. Everything Claudia's been talking about, making sure that they're on your Yelp profile, making sure they're on Google, making sure they're on your website, all of the different places that your menu or your business photos could possibly live, or your business information. And there are tech tools that can automate that. And I think when we're talking about some of these things, it can get really overwhelming really fast. The huge checklist of items and all the different places that you need to remember to update something when you have a new beautiful photo shoot of your restaurant, or one of your guests posts something and you want to use that photo in other places. Automating the consistency helps a lot. And you can have an agency partner, you can have a technology partner. You bring up Toast, like we pull menus and menu photos directly from Toast and put them in all the places. You can do it manually if you prefer to have that hands-on touch. But I would say like the best way to avoid holes in this process is to automate the consistency with whatever system that works best for your business.
Do you want to take the reins, Anna?
Yeah. Well, keep jumping in. This is great. I think you and I are kind of digging into it. So now I want to talk a little bit about accuracy, right? And inaccurate information, right? So Claudia, if I have some inaccurate information that AI keeps surfacing, how can I start to train AI to get it right?
Well, I mean, it depends what inaccurate information. Are we talking name, address, phone numbers? Those are really easy to like fix, right?
Sure.
So like we got to make sure that our data is accurate. But let's just say there's a review that surfaces where an ex-employee says something really negative or nasty about you in retaliation. I mean, you're going to want to work on getting that removed, and then you're going to want to make sure that you're responding in a way that shows the consumer. But if it gets surfaced in AI is not mentioning your response. So people have to be on it in their brand mentions. That's why reputation management is really important, making sure that they're actively engaging, checking their reviews, and then flagging them. But Google systems are really good about detecting and then even removing them before you even flag it. I've seen over the last year a really major increase in like review removals when it's against policy guidelines. But like then you have Yelp that if you have to flag it, and I would say like 70% of the time it's not coming down. They like side with the consumer. So just making sure like you're you're contacting the customer, making sure you're working it offline if you need to. And that would be the best way. And then just not engaging too much online, always trying to move it offline.
Yep. Some basic sort of review management there. I think that's really crucial.
And then brands need to watch themselves on Reddit too, because if they get mentioned on Reddit, I mean, Reddit's getting surfaced everywhere. So you want to make sure that you're there answering things and making sure that you're like controlling the conversation on Reddit.
I was listening to and doing research on this for this workshop, but also just in general as like someone who owns an agency and also runs a bakery. I learned that Reddit is getting indexed a lot by AI tools. Like, are there other sites out there beyond Google and Yelp? And does anyone use Bing anymore? But like, talk to me a little bit about social sites and how AI is indexing those. Because we say like we shouldn't spend as much time as we do on social, perhaps because discoverability on search and AI is a little bit more important right now. But like, is AI looking at TikTok? Are they watching my videos? Claudia, what do you think? How are they finding that information?
Yeah, most definitely. Anywhere your brand's getting mentioned, they're looking at it. So, I mean, the best thing to do is to check your customer journey, right? Search your brand, see what's getting surfaced. You'll notice tabs on the top. There's going to be the social tab. There's going to be the short video tab. There's going to be a forum tab. There's going to be a news tab. So click into all those and see how your brand is getting mentioned. I think influencers, like social media influencers, we should talk about that in a little bit. Like those could be really effective, really huge and driving AI search results. But like Reddit is definitely favored. Any forum is favored depending on your industry. So if there's a forum in your industry that's really relevant, it's going to get surfaced. Like they like to get the consumer's opinion over the business. They're going to trust the consumer and they're going to surface that because they know that consumers really want to hear from other consumers. And so that's where the shift is. And so you have to make sure that you're controlling or at least monitoring that and making sure like your brand image is right.
Oh, Redditors. Okay.
It's stressful.
It's stressful. Talk about nerds out there, Eric, the Redditor community, man.
Oh, I'm biting my tongue. Don't worry. I'm saving it to the end.
I know you are. Oh my gosh. So, okay. Well, all right. So we have to think about that. What about, I mean, selfishly as a bakery owner, what about places like Wedding Wire and The Knot and some of those, they're kind of directories in a way. They're not exactly forums, but do directories get indexed?
So, do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
What is the difference, real quick, what is the difference between a directory and a forum?
Sure, I'll take that one. So a forum, basically, it's like an old school forum, right, is where people are able to post online and receive answers to their questions or comments to the stories that they're telling. Reddit is like the old school, i.e. Reddit, right, exactly. A directory, I would say, is more like a vendor directory. So for the wedding industry, Wedding Wire and The Knot, things like that, they're really important. Zola, so that your services are showing up whenever people are searching for you. It's a more specialized area. But I would also say that places like ChowNow and DoorDash and Uber Eats would be considered directories too, because they are discoverability platforms for a specific section. They're a marketplace. Exactly. Anyway, Claudia, back to you.
So the first thing you should do is like search your business on Google, and whatever organic links show up on the first page, you need to make sure you're there. So if The Knot shows up because it's a wedding industry, then you need to make sure you're on that website. And then if any of these directories accept reviews, you need to make sure that you're getting some recent reviews so that you could get more surface, because obviously recency matters and so that will help you a lot. And I would say like the forums and reviews, there's a lot of equal weight there. So it really depends on the industry, but you will notice, like, if your brand is getting mentioned in Reddit, you are going to surface in AI overviews, depending if it matches the search query. So it's if the review can answer the search query, if the forum can answer the search query, you're going to get surface. So it's just making sure that you're being mentioned everywhere.
Yeah. For the record, yeah, sorry, Kelsey. I just want to set the record straight. For the record, I pay thousands of dollars every month to both of those websites to make sure that we are listed first. So,
do they accept reviews?
They do. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So then they're definitely relevant. And if they're showing up in search results on the first page when your brand shows up, then they're even more relevant.
Yeah.
I
Kelsey.
would expand this out further because maybe not every restaurant that's hearing this wants to be placed for weddings, but you can think about it in the context of catering or events. Now is the time to be showing up in searches for holiday parties. If you are a restaurant that hosts holiday parties, they're being booked now. And if you're waiting to get that information out for this year until September, October, you're going to be too late. So now would be the time to do that search, check to see where you're showing up for private events, parties, catering, and making sure that you have up-to-date and accurate menus on ezCater, on any sort of directory or marketplace that you're in for private events or catering, and ensuring that that's all correct and consistent so that you have a better chance of placing in those searches.
So what are some other like, let's stick with the catering and party planning for a second, because that's a huge one, right, for restaurants, is especially as we get closer to the fall and holiday season. If a guest says to, their AI assistant, say they're using ChatGPT, I need catering for 12 people at my home in September and I want fajitas. How can I make sure that like my Mexican food restaurant shows up? Like what specifically do I need to have on my website and within reviews to make sure it shows up? Kelsey?
I would say have a dedicated page on your website for your catering and your private events. If you host each of those, have a separate dedicated page. And again, make sure it's really clearly labeled. Don't use cute language. You put catering right at the top, and then have your catering menus hosted on that page with photos of your catering, separate from your regular menus. Same with private events. Have an example private event menu on your private event page. Showcase your spaces with beautiful photos. Make sure that all the photos are labeled with metadata and that you have an accessible website. All of that will help you get placed. And then there are listing sites like ezCater. If you do catering, make sure that you are accepting reviews and using a site that gets reviews. And then when you're getting them, you respond to them. As Claudia is calling out, the recency is super important. And so soliciting reviews on sites for catering every time you do a catering order is going to be super important. Getting reviews that you can highlight on your website, on your events page. If you get great feedback from a guest, quote it on your website. And then there's also sites. I know Google allows you to have multiple menus on your Google Business profile. So you can have your catering menu and your regular menu on your Google profile clearly labeled. It's all going to help.
Okay. All right. Everyone make that money. That's important. All right. I want to go back to something that Claudia was alluding to earlier, and that's around influencers and social media influencers. So as I work with influencers out there, I have a lot of demands on them, basically. Like, I try not to be too crazy because I don't want to pay them enough money to like really be strict about what they say about my concepts. But will influencer campaigns need to be structured differently so that AI recognizes and surfaces their content when summarizing a restaurant for a guest who's searching? Claudia, what do you think?
So I like to do a lot of studies, and one of my most recent studies is like, how do I get this restaurant to rank for halal search queries? So like a lot of people are always searching, like, do they serve halal meats? So like, there's a lot of different things you could do. You're going to add the category. You can add a photo of the certification for having halal food. You want to make sure that you mention it on your website. But I'm also noticing that there's the ones that are getting surfaced are the ones that are mentioned by social media influencers. So the TikTok account is called Halal Eatery, the name of the account. And so AI knows that this is somebody that ranks all the restaurants within the halal category. So, and then also hashtag halal just being in the social media posts. So a lot of times it could be the business posting, but it could also just be people visiting and then mentioning your brand and then having that hashtag in there and mentioning that they also serve halal meats. So it could be mentioned in the review. It could be mentioned on social media. It's all going to get surfaced. We don't know where AI is going to pull it all from, but the more mentions, the better.
Kelsey, what do you think about that? Like, what can restaurants be doing differently in structuring their influencer campaigns to make sure AI is indexing? Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Anna. I am not deep in the influencer world, and so I'm learning from you and Claudia right now
Good
on
for
the
you.
best way that restaurants can work with influencers.
Good for you, honestly. One tip, just as an aside, that I have been asking all my influencers is access to their content when they're done with it. Like the raw content is really important because sometimes I don't have time to like get photos of the restaurants or video. And oftentimes they're willing to send it to you, especially if they're micro influencers. Once they get a little bit big, they're not willing to do that because they know you're going to use it for commercial use. But when they're small, they don't mind. Then they get too big for their britches, but that's okay. It's all right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Hold on. I wanted to see, I had a few questions over here. Okay, well, I mean, let's stick with kind of the social media influencer thing. If a restaurant brand doesn't have the budget for an influencer campaign, what's the smartest way they could generate social content that AI will still notice? Kelsey, I know that's not your world too much. If you have any ideas, feel free to jump in. But Claudia, what do you think? What can restaurants do?
So a lot of my clients are not paying influencers, but it just organically happens. So especially when, these influencers are smaller, they're just trying to post. So they're coming in and so you can invite them in and say, hey, try it. We're going to, free launch on us, and then just give us a mention. So it doesn't take much to get them in the door. I would just say, like, go online, search for people locally that either are like referencing, whether it's gluten-free, vegetarian, halal, whatever they're mentioning. If they have the right account and the right name and they can mention you, I say go for it. Whether it's just free, you don't have to go overboard, but just getting some social media content out there is going to be better than nothing.
Yeah, true.
I might curveball this a little bit and say I'm starting to notice a little bit of a change or addition to the social media conversation. It's almost a hybrid between a listing and a social post. We're seeing it with Apple and the Apple Business Connect profiles, where you can put specific offers in your business profile, and then it shows up in Apple Maps. When folks are searching within Apple Maps, this really helps surface for promotions, specials, deals, special events. And Google recently launched something similar with their What's Happening, where you can put in offers, a regular post, or an event. And they sort of live in this in-between where it's not really a social media channel, but it's also not really a part of your listing. It's a separate piece. And remembering that when you are promoting something on social, to make sure that, again, it just matches in all the places where someone might be natively searching or using AI to search. Where I've noticed, because it's a new addition for Google, if I'm searching Gemini on my phone, it's going to populate the What's Happening offers or events before other things within Google Maps and the Google Business profiles.
Is the What's Happening feature, is that available for everybody?
It's available for smaller independent restaurants right now, but it is specific for hospitality and restaurants.
Love that. Thank you, Lisa Landsman. I know you're going to be listening to this. We appreciate that so much. All right. So I want to move to some sort of quick wins and quick questions for you guys before we give you a chance to wrap it up for us. Kelsey, let's stick with you. If you had to pick between photos, menus, or reviews to improve first as a restaurant, what would you prioritize for AI search and why?
I mean, this is not surprising because I haven't shut up about menus since we started. I truly think that menus are such a great, if you don't already have all the menu item attributes and searchable menus on your website, it's such an easy fix right now. There are so many tools. Marqii is one of them. Google has it natively built in. You can upload a PDF to your Google Business profile and they will parse it into the menu hierarchy. You don't have to be a coder at all to do this in your website or your profiles. And having all of that data easily accessible, current, and accurate is going to help. It's not only going to help your performance, it'll also help with what you were asking earlier with older, outdated, or incorrect information. The more that you can have your most current correct information be the most recent, it drowns out the old incorrect data that might be out there. And it's such an easy fix now. There's so many tools that help you do it.
Eric, I noticed you went and visited your bookshelf. What you got for me?
Wait, let's let the ladies get their wins
okay.
out or whatever.
Okay.
Sorry.
He's about to lay some knowledge on us. I saw that. Claudia, on reviews, what's a quick review request strategy that a restaurant could put into place tomorrow to boost their visibility?
I think that everybody should automate their review requests. Every person that makes a reservation, you should be sending them a request to leave a review. Via text always converts better. But I find that at the end of the day, only 4% really convert. But if you look at your Google business profile, you're going to see 60% of the reviews that you generated are from campaigns. So it really does make a difference. And businesses that don't consistently generate reviews will fall off on rankings. So review recency is definitely a big ranking factor. But of course, everything else has to be in place. So like Kelsey mentioned, if you don't have the menu, you still might not rank for specific search queries. And then more specifically, the first layer is the category. Make it you're allowed up to 10 categories on your Google business profile. And every restaurant should probably have 10 different categories. It's very easy to fill them up because you can add vegetarian, you can add halal, you can add fine dining, you can add family friendly, there's so many you can add. And without the secondary categories, it's a lot harder to rank for that specific search query. So you could still have everything in place, but without that category on top, you might not surface.
How would you, sorry, I just need to stick with reviews for just another second. How can I encourage people to leave reviews that include the keywords that I want them to include? How do we do that without just writing it for them and being hey,
oh, you stole one of my questions, Anna. That's
sorry.
As long as one of us got to it.
Honestly, I just think with restaurants, people just are ready to just spill out exactly all the keywords that you need. In other industries, it's so much harder. I never encourage people to say the way you request the review, you could say, hey, and don't forget to add those photos or mention what your favorite dish was. Sure, you can add that in the text message or in the email campaign. Definitely do that. It doesn't hurt. But at the end of the day, restaurants just organically get the right reviews. There's so much interaction. That's why Google's always putting all the new features in the restaurant categories first. There's so much action there.
Yeah.
Can I add? I'm sorry. I keep jumping in here.
No, you're here to jump in. Do a cannonball.
Specifically for full service restaurants, a recommendation that I've heard a couple of folks give is when you're doing table touches, pick one table a night. You don't need to ask every single table. Single out the table that ordered the dishes you want to be placed for, that are having a fabulous time. Send them maybe a little surprise and delight situation, and then come do your final table touch and ask in person, hey guys, I noticed you're just having the most fabulous time. You got one of my favorite dishes on the menu, the tiramisu. Would you do me a favor? Can you leave us a review on Google before you leave? You took such great photos, and I feel like people would love to see it. And if you do that with one table a night, even if one of those tables a week actually does it, you're going to have high quality reviews with photos because you've handpicked the table that's having the best time and that you've noticed doing all the things that you want other people to do. The second thing I want to throw in here is we are specifically not recommending that you do this for Yelp. Yelp, if they find out that you are asking for reviews, they will take your profile down. It's fine if you do it in other places. The other listing sites, the other review sites don't have this rule. Don't risk it with Yelp. Let it happen naturally. Don't risk your Yelp profile.
So find out if they work for Yelp first.
And never give away free stuff and post it on social media. Leave us a review and you'll get a free dessert. Not going to work.
I know,
definitely against policy.
I've seen so many restaurants out there do that. I'm you guys, don't. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
So the biggest threat there is being pulled from Yelp. Too. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What
exactly.
is that?
What, Eric?
I mean, restaurants wouldn't have to do this malarkey BS if Yelp wasn't around in the first place. It's like one of those anyway, this is why Anna's here, because I will just go down a death spiral of like despair and stomp my feet.
No,
anyway.
Eric, we're unstoppable. There's no room for despair.
No room for despair. That's good.
What up, Unstoppables? This episode is made possible by Restaurant Systems Pro. If you are a listener of Restaurant Unstoppable, I know you've heard me mention Restaurant Systems Pro, but just in case you haven't heard of it yet, it is a all-in-one enterprise solution. All the most critical systems that will help you become profitable. I'm talking about costing. I'm talking about inventory management. I'm talking about budgeting. I'm talking about labor management. I'm talking about training. The list goes on, all under one roof, tied to your general ledger, and they have their own POS, and they integrate with nearly every major POS out there. Restaurant Systems Pro is an amazing tool, and this is the thing that gets me really excited. When you join Restaurant Unstoppable Network, you get access to the CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, Fred Langley, twice a week for a P&L Power Hour. He literally will let you open up your P&L, share it on the screen, and he will help you close the gaps and increase your profitability. You do not have to be a Restaurant Systems Pro user to benefit from these live events. He doesn't care. We're just here to help you. Head over to restaurantunstoppable.com/RSP to get the full playlist of every Restaurant Systems Pro episode, a link to all the testimonials. And if we haven't sold you on Restaurant Systems Pro by then, I don't know what else to do. But if you really want to up your Restaurant Systems Pro experience, be sure to join Restaurant Unstoppable Network too. All right, guys, one more time, head over to restaurantunstoppable.com/RSP. So one thing I was curious about, and Marqii was mentioned on air with Amir Mostafavi from StealthBlock, talking about the most important thing he pays attention to is reviews and feedback, right? So he specifically mentioned Marqii as how he's paying attention to what people are saying online. But then there's other tools like, say, Sunday App or Ovation, which like are out there actively looking to get reviews. I'm curious if there's going to be an SOP within one of those apps where it's like, hey, and if you if you leave a review, we would love for you to capture what you're talking about or something like that. That would take it one step further. Do you see that sort of thing happening?
I mean, Open Table in general is always that. They have 5 categories. And so I think every platform is a little bit different. So you can't always control the way you're asking for reviews. Like Open Table controls the way they ask for the review. You can create a text campaign or an email campaign and say what you want to ask. But at the end of the day, the more you can get your customers to leave the photos and just make as many comments as possible, positive sentiment, you're going to win.
Yeah.
And are we ready to wrap it up?
Yeah. So we covered a lot of ground, right? We talked about a lot here, from basics of SEO to AI and how it's shaping and how restaurants are discovering how guests are discovering some new restaurants by chatting with ChatGPT. Maybe they're pouring their secrets out, and hopefully ChatGPT is like, I think you need a taco from this place in particular. So we need to figure out how to judge what people are talking about and insert some suggestive selling over time. I would love to see that happen. But I think this means that restaurants, right, they need to think about beyond just having a website and start making sure that there's reviews and their photos and the menu and listings all tell a clear and consistent story. But the good news is you don't have to do everything all at once, right? As an independent restaurateur, it can be really difficult and feel very overwhelming. Claudia, you were overwhelming me. I was like, I don't even think about some of these sites anymore. But just start small, right? Start with your menu. Maybe just start with your menu. Make sure it's structured and accurate everywhere, and ask a few loyal guests, table touch if you need to leave a good review and make sure they mention certain details. I liked your suggestion there, Kelsey, of hey, it seemed like you really like this dish in particular that I'm trying to be indexed for on Google. I think that's really great and somewhat sneaky, but that's okay. I think, especially if people are having a good time, it doesn't feel false, right? So I think that, as AI search evolves, whether that's voice assistance, which we did not talk about at all, for booking tables, image-based search, which we did not talk about at all, or influencers shaping the story, restaurants that invest right now in that clarity and consistency now are going to have the edge. Claudia and Kelsey, you guys are amazing. I really appreciate your time. I'd love to give you one more minute to like mention anything that you feel like you need to make sure people know before we close out, Eric, if that's okay with you.
I just want to make sure you got all of your things. I still have some questions if we don't mind.
Oh shit. Well, I thought you said wrap up. So I did. No, I'm good. You go ahead.
So, so I'm thinking of the words from Chef Eric Williams, who is out of Chicago with the Virtue Restaurant and Bar group. He said that increasingly restaurants, this is one of the concerns that he shared when I asked him like about the future of the industry. He said that increasingly restaurants and restaurant owners are not the beneficiary of the work that they're doing, and that a lot of the work that restaurants do, there's a lot of ancillary adjacent industry that gets propped up ahead of the actual people on the floor doing the work every day. And the example he used in that statement was landlords. Like landlords are making money hand over fist in these downtown areas or these communities that restaurants are going into and revitalizing. And you see this idea of restaurants not being the beneficiary of the work that they do. And I think another example of that is with, say, influencers, where, now many influencers are making a lot more money than a restaurant could ever dream of making. Whereas, they wouldn't even be in business if they didn't have these restaurants in the first place. So I guess where I'm going with this is that's a preface. Shelf that. And I keep coming back to this book, and Anna, you saw me go to my shelf. Power in Progress. I don't know if you can see it with the reflections here. Power in Progress. I actually had to pull up the author's name because I destroy it every time I try to say his name. Doron Ashimoglu. Doron Amush. I knew I was going to destroy this. Doron Ashimoglu. If I destroyed that, Mr. Doron, I'm so sorry, but it's a really hard last name. It does not read the way it looks. So anyway, in that book, he talks about, it's called, again, Power in Progress. The whole point of this book is to highlight how technology, whoever controls the technology, controls the power, and how that's been the pattern for the past 1,000 years. Whoever controls the technology controls the power. And I'm really concerned. It seems like today the marketplaces have way more power, and honestly, there's way more loyalty to marketplaces than there are restaurants. As we look to the future with SEO and custom GPT or chat GPT or AI search optimization, like, is it possible that this pattern consists of whoever controls the technology, controls the agenda, controls the power? And how do we, at this point where we can do something about it, be kind of conscious about like moving forward? I mean, that was a lot. It was very loaded. I apologize. But what are you guys thinking?
I'm so excited to respectfully disagree with you.
Okay.
There's a lot of layers to everything you just asked. One, I respectfully disagree with your premise. I don't know a single restaurant owner, whether they are a franchise owner of a chain or an independent owner, who doesn't care about their community. And I don't know a single restaurant owner that would say, I improved the lives of my community, I brought more business to this area, I'm not benefiting from that. Or I've worked with influencers and I've helped them get more followers, and now they're a regular at my restaurant and they bring all their friends, and I'm not a benefit of that. I think when we talk about restaurants, one of the most amazing things about this industry is the huge impact that restaurants have on the communities that they're in. And that's always cyclical. It's never a one-way relationship. So I will disagree with that premise. But when it comes to tech, I think you have a point. I think we see restaurant brands elevating when they are early adopters, or they're willing to experiment, or they're willing to say, oh, Claudia told me that photos are super, super important now. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to try it and see how it goes. We can spend a bunch of time raging against the way things are and where they're going, or we can try to see if it benefits us. I think technology is going to move forward and have the goal of helping business owners save time, automate things, work within the systems that exist. And so the way to get ahead is figuring out the best way to fit those tools into your business. And it's not a one-size-fits-one solution ever. An agency might be the best fit for one restaurant brand, and a automated tech tool is the best fit for another. Every restaurant has a different tech stack. So it just depends on the needs of the community, the needs of the restaurants, the needs of the staff. And I really appreciate when we go and look at the tech landscape and all of the different tools that are out there. It's not just about profitability. We don't just see technology tools and apps and SaaS products and everything else that are geared at profitability. We also see it at employee feedback, tip management, scheduling, all of the things that are deeply within the operations and the back end that we're not talking about today. AI is impacting all of these as well. It's all of these tools that you can use to make your restaurant run more efficiently, and it benefits the employees when used with good intent. It benefits the community when used with good intent. We certainly can't control the intent, but we can say, you know what, figure out what works for you, adopt it. I don't think that there's a world in which we stop AI from making an impact on restaurants.
No, I'm not arguing that AI is going anywhere, but I'm saying, how do we go forward consciously where the people who control the AI don't control all the marketplaces and all the influence? That's a real fear. And I agree with you. I don't think that restaurant owners are, they don't resent their community. I think the point I was trying to make is that the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer, and it's getting more and more difficult for independents to survive with all the things that we have to do to just stay relevant. If, like, to your point, if you're not posting a lot and doing things just right, which is why we need to outsource to people to help us make sure we do things just right. Are we entering a complex crisis where there's this more and more we have to do to stay relevant, when all we want to do is look people in the eye and say, thank you so much for coming in today. How can I help you? That's really what we want to do. And is that even an option going into the future, or do we need to be all in on tech to have a fighting chance?
At one point, restaurants only took cash, and then they started taking credit card.
Yeah, and this is why Anna's here to be the voice. Did you want to add on to that, Claudia?
Let Claudia add.
You read so much about AI and what's up and coming, and they keep talking about how websites are going to be obsolete and we're going to have these AI agents booking everything for us. So then it makes me think, okay, as a SaaS platform, Marqii probably thinks this way too. How are we going to interact with these AI agents? What are we going to be doing? How are we going to be taking booking reservations, calls? So yeah, things will evolve. I don't know if the small mom and pops are going to be able to survive with all this new technology if they don't adapt.
Yeah, I think there's also an element of not everyone wants that experience. You can have an AI chatbot answering questions or an AI phone answering service, and you'll have some guests that hate it and are going to prioritize restaurants that don't have those tools. So I think it's such a huge market and such a huge variety of consumer needs, consumer desires, guest desires, and businesses, that there truly is room for everyone to find where technology fits in their business and do what's best for them. And the guests that are right for your business will, they don't magically find you, but we're not seeing independence die in favor of chains.
I don't see Google Maps going away from local search. I mean, at the end of the day, I will use AI, and it's more because I'm researching, but I don't favor AI in local search. I actually prefer to look at Google Maps.
Same. I use Google Maps for everything. Eric, did you want to follow up on that?
I mean, I could. I'm here to listen, hear perspective. I could keep going, but we're here to be open-minded. We're here to hear perspective. We're here to learn. And I appreciate your perspective, ladies.
I think Kelsey's point is really valid, though, in terms of people will vote which restaurant they want to go to based on the experience that they get out of it, And to my earlier point, restaurants didn't take credit card for the longest time. Restaurants in America were very, very hesitant about chip access, or tap payment. That was a huge issue. I remember working on that when I was with the National Restaurant Association. That was a huge issue. I think the difference now is that restaurants realize that tech change happens and that they need to be at the table instead of on the menu. And that's what I would encourage anyone listening to do. Is you're listening to something right now that indicates that you are interested in learning and staying up on what guests are using, what platforms guests are using. And that's the most important thing, is to be part of those conversations.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, ladies, so much. I don't know if Tommy's still here. Tommy, are you still here? He is here.
Yes.
All right, stick around, Tommy. We're going to open up for Q&A. Now is when you ladies can, any last thoughts, like Anna had asked you before. Now's the time to get it out. Promote yourself, calls to action. Let us have it.
Claudia first.
Okay. I just want to add, we didn't touch on this, but like getting included in Yelp and TripAdvisor's top 10 restaurant list is huge for AI. We didn't really touch on that. So, again, follow your customer journey, do searches, see what's being relevant and what's being surfaced in search results, and then kind of re-engineer how you can show up in those areas.
Thank you.
I would say as a last statement, we've talked about so many things. Anna, you said like you're feeling overwhelmed by all of this. And I feel like I say this every time we're part of a workshop or part of a education summit. Don't have to do all of this. Start with the basics, build your foundation, get your website in order, get your listings, make sure that you know where your reviews are coming from. And then add layer by layer, add the detail, respond to reviews, respond to as many as you can. Some is better than none. Doing some of this without all of it it's not a black or white, you either show up in search or never show up in search. So do whatever you can and add pieces as you have the capacity, and it will improve over time.
Good advice.
Thank you.
Got it.
I don't think I got any specific calls to action. Where do we head if we want to learn more?
You can, I have a lot of good blogs. I have a lot of good ways to help people rank better for restaurants. I focus on restaurant marketing. So if you head over to reputationarm.com and read some of my blogs, you'll get some really good tips.
Beautiful.
They're really good.
Newsletter.
They're really good. She posts them on LinkedIn too. Follow Claudia on LinkedIn. They're really good.
Yeah.
I just dropped the link to Marqui's website in the chat. It's Marqii. There's no U. We have resources, we have education about listings management and online menus and review response and how social media fits into all of this and what's happening in AI. We have tools that can help with all of this or one piece. So come reach out to us if you want to learn more about working with Marqii. We're happy to help. We're happy to advise or point you in the right direction of a great fractional CMO that can take care of it all for you.
And are you guys going to be attending any conferences coming up? Can they find you there?
Oh boy, are we?
Okay.
Yes, you can find us at the fall conferences. We'll be at QSR Evolution in Atlanta, FS Tech in Orlando. We'll be hosting a really fun event in Austin during the Fast Casual Executive Summit. And what else? We'll be hanging out with some of our friends in Chicago with Big Chicken and the Craveworthy Brands team. So come find us if you're in any of those places.
Beautiful. And Anna, any last thoughts before I say thank you?
I think this was really fantastic. This was our first workshop. And honestly, we have now set the bar pretty high for the kind of information, the depth of information that we're going to go into. So I think in the future, Eric, you should definitely be using this as a good promo for Restaurant Unstoppable Network, because people getting access to this is pretty spectacular.
Yeah. And we're about to open it up for Q&A. So it's about to get even better. And before we do that, I just want to say thank you to Claudia and Kelsey and Anna. I literally cannot do what I do without experts and people in my network making time to go further together, and especially thanks to Marqii for supporting this podcast. I've been saying sponsor in the past, but I want to change that language and call you a partner. The partners are the people I believe in and that I would promote regardless of whether or not they were paying me to do so. So thank you so much for paying to keep this show going and to support it with your partnership dollars. It feels really good to go into the future with people that you believe in. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. We really appreciate the invite to do this. And it's always fun to get to have these discussions. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
And this is where I say there is no questioning, you ladies are unstoppable.